What up, though, YouTube? It's your boy, huh, Mid Financialist, coming at you with another video. Another little video. Hey, shout out to y'all, bro, on this channel. This channel turning up, going crazy. We had like 10 watch hours and everything right now already. So love y'all, bro. Love, love, love. Schmitty, no, Mitty. Ooh! Bow, bow, bow. Mitty gang. Oh yeah, Mitty gang. All right, bet. Anyways, Mitty gang, we got another Andre Jick video coming at y'all today. I probably should have started the video like this, you know. And y'all see, I'm rocking some threads for y'all. I'm rocking some threads for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Got the ignore this. Some bitch got makeup on my thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, some esteemed, tall calved, open back strapped, you know, fine little lady came around, hugged me, and got some shit on my shit. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I shouldn't cuss as much on this channel, but like y'all is the audience. You know what I'm saying? My audience is like the audience of like, you know, we informed, but we just not, you know, doing the thing. But anyways, without further ado, I'm gonna just get into the video. This is about China just broke the silver market. We are treading in territories I have no idea. Silver, like the worth of silver is very interesting. You know, I understand gold. I understand the worth of gold, but we talking about silver? All right, let's get into it. Also, let me turn this up a little bit.
It just became the third most valuable asset in the world. And China just did
the third most valuable asset in the world? What?
Something very strategic. They stopped selling silver. Why? So let me just zoom out and explain this from the context of gold and silver. So gold is about bringing back the trust in money. It's about the reserve currencies and what backs them, which in China's case will be gold. And that's
for y'all that don't know, China doing some crazy thing with the BRICS and everything. BRICS is all the like the nations like Brazil, Iran, China, what's S? Saudi Arabia? Maybe, I don't know, but they doing something with their gold, right? They doing something with their gold where they putting up these blocks, these places that just harbor all of China's gold in your nation, though, to ensure that you got your money.
Why China spent the last few decades building the Shanghai Gold Exchange. They're expanding what people call the Gold Corridor.
Oh, no, the Gold Corridor is what I'm talking about. See that? See that room just full of gold? They building a whole bunch of those in all kinds of different places. And this is like what I'm talking about with currency, bro. We coming up on January 1st, and I'm telling you, January 1st, I saw some shit about saying that the Epstein files got dropped. You know, I'm going to stay away from that a little bit too much on this channel unless y'all really want to see that. Just maybe I'll tack that on Schmitty's channel because, you know, Epstein files get a nigga canceled real quick. And we doing fine over here. So, but like, all I'm saying is, yeah.
Publicly buying as much gold as they can. And they're doing that to tell the world, hey, if you want a monetary system outside the control of the US dollar and the US empire, this might be the solution. A money that is backed by gold, stored in your countries if you want, or in ours, one which we'll consider Basel III, which means you can use it as collateral to borrow money from us if you want to build your country's economies.
Yep.
Okay.
See, that's what I was talking about. And that's what they're doing over in Brazil, I'm pretty sure, which is kind of like some fuck shit. I was just talking to D about this last night, bro. They out here, like, putting the gold. We're like, hey, we'll give you gold over here just because we want to start using gold. Fuck this dollar shit, bro. We want to start using gold. So they'll give you gold. You can store it in your country. We can keep it in our country. I don't care where you have it. But, like, this is your gold, but it's our gold. Okay? And then the gold that we give you to use, now you could borrow our money, like our US dollar, but it's not US dollar, what is it, the yuan or whatever. You could borrow that, but we gonna use the gold we gave you as collateral. So it's like they giving niggas money to keep so that they could use it to take more money, and then they could take the money they gave them to keep in case they don't pay that money back. But it's allowing them to build up all kinds of infrastructure. I want to see what Africa does, bro. I'm telling you, what's to play with Africa.
Silver plays a very different role in this story. Silver is not about trust in money. Silver is about controlling a very important resource that makes the world work the way it does. And that's because silver is used in everything. Solar panels and electric cars and data centers, military electronics, satellites, everything.
Hey, data centers, bro.
Everything. It's considered one of the best electrical conductors on Earth. But unlike gold, when silver gets more expensive, industries don't stop buying it. They don't just wait for the price to come down because they have to use it. Which is also why one of the biggest theories about silver and gold is that for the last few decades, their prices have been suppressed and controlled to be as cheap as possible for as long as possible.
And now this is making sense. Hold up. Now I'm kind of trying to see the angle that China's working. Call me crazy. Call me like, hey, I ain't seen the video yet. Y'all know we watched this shit together, okay? But if you use silver in data centers and China stops selling silver to drive up the supply and demand, so basically spiking the price of silver, and you're telling me that no matter what the price of silver is, niggas, we gonna buy it, bro. Is that like an effort to slow the AI race with the data centers and shit, or no? Because we got money, we'll still buy the data centers, but is it kind of more so to expose that AI bubble, the money that we pass? They're gonna have to start passing around more money within each other? Is that what's going on?
But over the next decade, the demand for silver is expected to go up because of all of these applications 56%. Like AI and robotics and automation and everything that the government wants control over. And because China now controls most of the refining and processing, and now the export rules, China will have a huge say in who gets access to this material and who doesn't. So this story is a lot bigger than silver going up in price and beating everything this year. I want to break down exactly what China does.
They always got the raw materials, rare earth minerals, and all that shit, bro.
Picture of the U.S.-China rivalry and what it means not just for commodities, but for global markets and investors, even for people who don't own any silver at all. So with that said, let's get into it. Hi, my name is Andre Jick. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the silver. Okay, so here's a very simple question. How does anyone know what silver is actually worth? We know because of something called markets, right? Which is where something called price discovery happens. And there's a lot of silver markets around the world that do this, but the two that really matter are COMEX and Shanghai. Now, COMEX is the main U.S. futures exchange for silver.
COMEX, short for the Commodity Exchange, is one of the primary futures and options exchanges for... Yeah, that's futures. I thought that should say features. Sorry, guys, I can't read. Let's restart. COMEX is a short commodity exchange and one of the primary futures and options exchanges for the trading precious materials, including gold, silver, copper, and other commodities. It was established in 1933. God! And as a New York Mercantile Exchange, NYMEX. That's the ticker. Thank you very much. And then later merged with the Commodity Exchange Inc.
It's where prices are discovered. And most people trading this are entities like miners hedging their production, manufacturers, or just traders speculating. That's the COMEX market. Now, inside of COMEX-approved vaults, silver is split into two categories. The first is eligible silver, which is silver that belongs to someone who's just storing it. It is not for sale. And the second one is registered silver. This means silver that is available for delivery if someone wanted to settle a futures contract with actual physical metal.
Yo, can we understand what futures mean? I don't know, bro.
But there's a problem.
What does futures mean?
COMEX only has about 120 to 130 million ounces of registered silver. Silver that's available to settle those transactions. And that is only about 10% of the annual global demand, which is about 1.1 to 1.2 billion ounces a year. And that means if every trader who wanted physical silver wanted delivery of their silver at the same time, they would not be.
Futures are standardized financial contracts obligating buyers to purchase and sellers to sell a stock or stock indexes at a predetermined price on a specific... Oh, so it's like a stop loss and a continued buy. Okay, got you. So it basically is just saying like that they have to buy it and they have to sell it.
Able to do that because less than 10% of it is available. So COMEX was never designed to supply the world's need for physical silver, but it works for now because most contracts are rolled over and most trades are cash settled. Most investors don't want their actual silver delivered to them. Okay, so why does that matter then? Well, it matters when the behaviors of people change and they start to want their silver. And that means we need more silver because we don't have enough. So what do? Well, this is where the Shanghai market comes in because Shanghai silver prices are actually higher than COMEX prices because Shanghai markets reflect actual physical delivery inside of China, while COMEX prices are mostly just paper silver prices, right? So when Shanghai trades a couple dollars above COMEX, that means the value of guaranteed physical silver is going up faster than the value of paper silver. And let me show you how this just happened. On December 24th,
the price of guaranteed silver is above the price of paper silver. Okay.
Silver in the Shanghai market closed at about $78 an ounce. At the same exact time, silver on the COMEX market, which remember is the main Western futures market, paper silver, that closed at about $72 an ounce. That is a huge gap of about $6 per ounce. Historically, that kind of price difference is very unusual because most of the time, the premium between the two markets is way less than $1 and rarely more than $2. Why? Well, because of something called arbitrage. People see
arbitrage.
Silver.
I love this word. It's just like a word that if you use, I've used arbitrage so many times not using it correctly just because it's one of those words that just seems like you could throw it away.
It's the cheapest. They buy
arbitrage.
It, and then they sell it somewhere else where it's more expensive. Bro. That is arbitrage.
Sorry.
Well, because of something called arbitrage. People see where silver is the cheapest, they buy it, and then they sell it somewhere else where it's more expensive.
Oh yeah.
That is arbitrage.
Hey, quickest way to make $1 million is to buy something for $900,000 and sell it for $1 million.
Arbitrage traders, as they're called, normally erase those premiums, those gaps, almost instantly. Again, they buy where silver is cheaper, they sell where it's more expensive, they move the metal, and the prices converge. But when there's a $5 or a $6 gap and it stays for hours, especially during a low liquidity holiday season like it just did, it tells us that the arbitrage isn't really working the way it normally does. And that usually means physical silver is not moving as freely. Remember, Shanghai pricing reflects what it costs to store actual, deliverable physical silver inside of China. And that is the silver that is needed for manufacturers to make solar panels, electronics, etc. COMEX prices here in the West, by comparison, are about financialized markets, right? Where most contracts are never delivered, they're never settled in silver, they're just settled in cash.
I'm sorry, but hold up. Just think about like you work at a warehouse, bro, and you get deliveries of silver. Like, nigga, first off, you can't lift that box. Like, that's a box that you gotta like take out. You know what I'm saying? And then two, nigga, you open the box, and this nigga just ordered like $3 million worth of silver. You over here just working for a couple, especially in China, nigga, you working for a couple cents an hour, nigga. They better have them motherfuckers working booty naked, because I'm stuffing silver everywhere. I'm stuffing silver in my shoes, stuffing silver by my balls. I'm stuffing silver everywhere.
Now, under normal conditions,
nigga, what?
Those two systems stay linked pretty closely. But when they start to split, and you get these huge price differences, it's potentially a sign that the physical supply of silver is becoming constrained or harder to source. And this chart shows total silver held in COMEX approved vaults. This actually includes both silver that's eligible and silver that is registered and available.
Chat, all y'all gotta know whenever you see graphs like this is like, why the fuck was it all the way down there? Now the fuck is all the way up here? And why is it doing this shit?
Over time, the trend is that physical silver has been flowing out of Western vaults, not building up. And historically, when registered inventory starts to get tighter, that's when physical silver becomes more expensive than paper silver. It's almost like China's market is forcing the Western market to reprice silver higher. Okay, but why? So I talk a lot about staying invested in the market, but I almost never talk about the other side of that, which is what do you do afterward? Because if you stay invested long enough, eventually you cross the finish line and become wealthy. Now, even though I don't think you should be showing off how wealthy you are, let's be honest, there's gonna be some signs. Like for me, maybe I'll be driving around in a Lamborghini somewhere on the beach. Or maybe when Bitcoin finally hits $1 million, I'm not gonna tweet about it, but I might be in the Oval Office shaking the president's hand. or flying somewhere random on a Tuesday on my private plane. Actually, I'd be flying to Bali, where I'll be relaxing and working on Higgsfield.ai, which is the sponsor of today's video, and it's Google's deadline. It's also one of the cheapest pro-grade AI platforms on silver, all settled, not gold. Most of its modern history, China's economy actually ran on silver, not gold. China's taxes were paid in silver, big transactions were all settled in silver.
They paid their taxes in silver? Oh, hell no, that seems like some biblical shit right there. Hell no, that seems like, you know, when they was talking about the shepherd came and you had to put the fucking blood on your goddamn door because niggas is coming knocking looking for... Oh, hell no.
Trade balances were all denominated in silver by its weight, not necessarily by its face value. So for a long time, silver was China's money. And because of that, China became one of the biggest consumers of silver that the world has ever seen. From the 1500s through the 1800s,
probably somebody's grandma
huge amounts of silver went into China.
Boatloads of silver
if you
and
wanted
fucking
access to
Chinese dolls, Russian
because
dolls,
China
you know what I'm
was
saying?
and still is the factory of the world, silver was what you had to pay. Okay, but what's important here isn't that silver was just money. It's also what stabilized their economy, right? It's what stabilized their incomes, their prices, and their taxes, and it worked. But there was one big problem, and that problem was exposed in the 1930s. Because in 1934, the United States passed something called the Silver Purchase Act, and it forced the U.S. government to buy huge amounts.
It is hereby declared to be the policy of the United States that the proportion of silver to gold in the monetary stocks of the United States should be increased with the ultimate objective of having and maintaining 1/4 of the monetary value of stock in silver.
Of silver.
So 1/4.
And what that did was it made the price of silver go way, way up. Now, for a country that's based on a silver monetary system, that was actually really bad. Because as silver prices went up, silver was pulled out of China. The money started to leave the country. The money that was supposed to be used for their economy started to collapse. And how that looked like was the price of their stuff started to go down. Deflation. Which at first you might be like, wait, isn't that a good thing? Prices going down?
We want that.
And it is good at first.
Yeah.
In the long run, deflation means people start to expect prices to fall. So they stop spending, they stop investing, and they stop hiring, and the economy starts to eat itself. Because if you know that something you want to buy is going to be worth half tomorrow, then why would you buy it today? You would just wait and wait. And you multiply that across millions of people, and that's what China got. So in response to all that, in 1935, China officially left the silver standard and moved to a paper currency standard. And it's not because silver failed them as a money. It's because China learned a very useful lesson, which is kind of the whole point of this video. And what they learned is that if your economy depends on a material that you do not control, other nations can and will weaponize it against you. And that's a lesson that I think China didn't forget. And when you look at what China's doing today with silver,
them niggas want they get back?
A lot more sense.
They want they get back?
So the question is, what exactly did they just do? And what are they doing now?
Get back?
And this is a masterclass in the global game of geopolitical chess, and I want to help explain it. What they did was, China reclassified silver under the dual-use export control rules.
Oh yeah, that's not.
And that means a material that can be used for civilian purposes can now also be used for military and strategic purposes. And once something falls under that category, then exports are no longer automatic. Instead, they're going to need government approval. It's very smart because if China wants to ban silver, like they do Bitcoin all the time, that would create a lot of backlash. A ban would force other countries to react. The president of the US gets mad, whatever, right? But by relabeling it to strategically important, and on paper, China can say, well, we're not banning silver, we're not attacking anyone, we're just regulating something important to us. Now, of course, in practice, their rules are written so specifically that almost no one's going to qualify for these licenses. Only very big producers will be able to, and even then, approvals are going to be completely up to their government. And by doing that, it's closing an open market And it starts gatekeeping because China is in the middle of the global silver supply chain. So this strategy gives them a lot more power. Because remember, most silver is not mined on its own. It's produced as a byproduct when companies mine for other metals like lead and zinc. And then if any silver's found, that silver has to be processed. It has to be refined and separated. And a huge part of that refining happens inside of China. So
of course,
even if
fucking factories.
Silver is found in the grounds of Mexico or Australia,
they send that shit to China?
There's a very good chance it still passes through Chinese infrastructure before it ever becomes a usable metal.
Oh, hell no. These niggas is shiesty. So what I'm understanding a little bit is they saying we ain't selling silver no more. Silver is not even gonna get exported out of our country no more. But if y'all get silver in anything and find it, y'all don't got the infrastructure to get that silver out of there. Y'all better build some, or you can just send it on over to China. We'll send it back. We'll send it back. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hell no.
And now, starting on January 1st, China...
Hey, pretty much, that's like there's one nigga selling drugs, and he is selling, right? He's making boatloads of money, right? But it gets to a point where he don't even sell drugs to the consumer. He just sells them to people, and those people go ahead and, you know what I'm saying? But now, he bags it all up for him. Everybody knows that this guy got the good shit because it got his bag on it, right? Like this Cheez-It bag, like this logo is what they want. So he stopped selling his shit, but everybody still has to nobody's buying the regular JoJo nigga shit off of the street, bro, because they packs looking like this. You know what I'm saying? Just a bland ass eraser. So they send they shit to him. He puts it in the bag, and
then we'll get to decide whether that metal leaves or not. Now, what's interesting about all this is that this isn't even China's first time doing this, because over the last 10 years or so, China did the exact same thing, but with rare earth elements.
Yeah,
today China controls roughly 80 to 90% of global rare earth refining.
I was telling y'all that in the beginning.
Why rare earths? Because you need rare earths for electric motors, wind turbines, precision-guided missile weapons, all kinds of advanced electronics. In the early 2010s, China reclassified them as strategic. And they started export quotas and licensing rules. And the prices went way up, and the governments all panicked. And only then did the US, Europe, and Japan realize that rebuilding their own refineries was not a short-term problem. In a lot of cases, it took more than a decade to partially remake non-Chinese supply chains. So what we're seeing in silver today is the exact same thing that's been happening to all...
So what he's saying is we're going to have to start making these warehouses in fucking Mexico and fucking other places so we could...
The rare earths, but with
it's going to take a minute, bro.
Silver is not a specialty metal. It's used everywhere. But the problem for the West is because of how silver reacts to pricing. Roughly 70 to 80% of silver's production comes as a byproduct of mining other things like copper, lead, and zinc. That means even if silver prices doubled, the production doesn't automatically increase unless base metal mining goes up as well. We have to mine more of everything else.
So then we have stockpiles of copper and a whole bunch of lead and bullshit.
Inelastic supply.
I don't want that.
So think of it like this. If coffee doubled in price today, some people would just start drinking less coffee. That's elastic. It's responsive. But if insulin doubled in price, people would still use it. They still need it regardless. That's inelastic, right? That's rigid. It doesn't move. The demand continues. So with all of this in context, right? China is setting up a January 1st, 2026 start date for...
What did I tell you, bro? I'm not looking forward to this New Year day, bro. I feel like there's going to be a lot of shiesty shit happening.
All these export rules. And that's why China's been getting as much silver as possible, getting all the contracts, locking in the supply, while foreign buyers are left exposed to how the markets are reacting, which is what we're seeing today. So then the question is, what happens now?
Yeah, do we buy more silver, guys?
This is not a silver price prediction video. I don't know where silver is going to be next month, next year, or 3 years from now, and neither does anyone else. But we can look at what has happened historically. Because for most of silver's history, it doesn't move much at all. It just kind of sits there for years, sometimes decades, doing absolutely nothing.
That's long as fuck.
And then when something changes, silver has a habit of moving very fast. And that's because, remember, silver...
because of the fusionist market. Hey, guys, we just learned something new today. I'm like, how is 2027 even on the graph? Some of y'all probably... y'all can't even see. Hold up. Y'all can't even see. Look. He got 2027 on the graph. And I was like, how the fuck is 2027 on the graph? But remember what we learned about the prediction, the futurist markets, is basically just saying that they're buying shit. We've agreed in contract to buy gold all the way up to here. All the way up to here. We didn't agree to buy that shit and sell that shit. So, we just gotta do what you gotta do.
It's needed. And the industries that need them don't have the luxury of waiting it out until the price goes down. And this has happened before several times in history. In the late 1960s and 70s, silver doubled more than once. In 1979 into 1980, it went from roughly $6-ish an ounce to over $50 an ounce in just over a year. In other periods, it did nothing for a very long time. That's the nature of silver. Now, this whole story about China and its interest in silver doesn't mean that silver is guaranteed to go up in price. Silver reacts very differently to other financial assets because when stocks get expensive, people can just wait to buy them. When bonds look unattractive, the money could move somewhere else. But when silver becomes harder to find, factories don't stop their production lines and governments don't shut down everything they're doing. So what happens? The price goes way, way up very, very fast. And that's when all the investors and speculators get on board and you see an even bigger price spike. And that part is the speculation part. And after those spikes, silver almost always corrects and goes back down. Not because the world suddenly needs less silver, it's because the speculative money that came in starts to leave because they start to take their gains, sell their silver, and move the money somewhere else. Yeah. And once the leverage and excitement gets flushed out, or once people get margin called, prices can go down very fast, which is my very complicated way of saying, I have no idea where we are in this journey. Are we in the first phase where the price is catching up to the fundamental reality? Or are we now in the phase of speculation where YouTubers start making videos about this and this could go way higher before it goes way lower? I don't know. Some people say silver is finally catching up to reality. Some people say be careful buying it here because you're buying at the peak. I don't know. But what we do know is that once a correction happens, that money looks for the next place it thinks the upside hasn't happened yet. Sometimes that's equities, the stock market. Sometimes it's energy. Sometimes it's emerging markets. And in the most recent years, it's been things like Bitcoin and other hard assets. Now, we've had the run in gold. We've had the run in silver, which could keep going. We've had the run in tech, especially AI. And because investors are always looking for the next best thing, that money could eventually leave the silver market and go somewhere else. Now, whether silver goes to $100 or back down to $50 isn't the most interesting thing. The most interesting thing is that this isn't really a story about silver. It's a story about something that is at the crossroads of money, power, industry, energy, technology, and China learned this lesson about silver the hard way almost 100 years ago when it was used against them. And today we're seeing the same lesson, but in reverse. Control everything, right? Control the processing, control the exit. And that's what the BRICS countries are trying to do. Build the trust with money, again using gold, decentralized custody of said gold using the gold corridor, and control the materials that the modern world can't live without. That's silver and rare earths. And if you do that, you don't just influence the price of those things, you influence who gets to build, who has to wait, and who has to ask you for money to fund their economy. That's leverage. And leverage is the most important currency in a world that's moving away from cooperation. It's what economists call this multipolar world. World
that's facts.
where it's not just one.
That is facts, bro. The world is moving away from cooperation. We ain't even dropped the video on how Iran just declared war on us and everything, but bro, no one gives a fuck anymore. Like all that Geneva, we learned all that shit in school, and there's probably still kids in school learning about the Geneva Convention and the Allies and all that. Bro, we don't care. It's every nation for themselves out in this bitch. Besides, like the UK. The UK, I say like they probably all do kind of band together a little bit. France, because France got all the weapons and everything. They got everything. So like Poland, they'd be like, hey, we're about to go after Russia, France. You're with us, right? You're with us, right, France? But like other than that, dog, like I feel like it just be everybody for themselves for real. Fuck that.
Country that gets to make all the rules and control the world reserve currency. It's not going to be just the U.S. And silver is sort of like the next small domino in this.
I have a video just like that, chat. Anyway, Schmitty gang, that's going to be it for this one, man. That was a little bit confusing. So, like, I'm glad Mid Financials gang got here to just debunk it a little bit. Hopefully it made a little bit more sense. You know what I'm saying to y'all? Man, shout out to Andre Jick, man. This guy always got banger videos, always up there. That's why he got 2.95 million subs or whatever. We got 6. But anyway, Midi gang. Phew. Damn. No, bless me. It's crazy. Hey, thank you to the one homie who did. Anyways, Midi gang, I'm going to catch y'all in the next one, man. It's been real. And